So yeah, man. So these so-and-sos, these charlatans scanned me after, putting up the Korakuen Hall from Monday super duper fast. The show was on Monday and it was all up by Monday our time, right?
Look at them being on a jab.
Right. So I'm thinking, all right, final show before the final, they'll have it up for your boy. And then I've been waiting for hours and hours and hours, and I haven't looked yet, but it would be something if it was up right now. It would be something if it was up right now. It is not. So they failed your boy, but that's okay because there's only 2 matches of consequence that really mattered. So, and there was only 3 Grand Prix matches on the final night before the final show. So went ahead and did that and looked at it, but real quick, wanted to point out the Korakuen Hall from Monday had Azumi versus Konami. That match is good as hell. It was 6 minutes, but it was good as hell. I even gave it 3.5 in like 6 minutes. And then in the semi-main event, why it wasn't a main event, I have no fucking idea. Well, I do know why, but it's a stupid idea. But the semi-main event was Takumi versus Utami. That match is fantastic. That match might be 4.5 stars. It went to a 20-minute draw. Also, on the undercard, because of Julia having to drop out, it had to forfeit all her points in the back half. Momo unofficially has 12 points right now. She's a high man on the block with 12 points. So, Starlight Kid to stay alive, she had to beat Momo. They had a good ass match, like 3 3/4, and then at the end of it, Oedo Tai helped her cheat, and then she ended up winning with a cradle, with a Rana cradle. So she's alive. She will. So the main event is Mayu versus Saki. Mayu at that point had, I believe, 9 points, had 9 points. Just like Starlight Kid had 9 points, so she got to 11 to stay alive. And Mayu had 9 points, and to stay alive, she had to win. They had Saki beat her for no fucking reason, so that she could be eliminated before on the second to last show, the third to last show. So she has nothing to fight for other than to play spoiler for Starlight Kid. And I thought, like, that's kind of stupid, but I know why they're doing it, and it's still stupid, but they did it anyway. But at least they have a reason. So, going forward in that red block, Himeka's still alive. She has 10 points at play, and she beat Momo. So if she wins against Kaguma on the final night, she will be at 12, and she has the tiebreaker over Momo. Like I said, Starlight Kid has the tiebreaker over Momo as well, and she has to beat Mayu to get through it. I think Mayu slams the door shut on her. And Momo, because Julia, she has 12 points from Julia. She has nothing to play for. She cannot gain anything in the final night. She is not in a match because her final night match was with Julia. So, she is in the clubhouse right now. So, what I think is going to happen is from the red block perspective is Himeka is going to be Kaguma, get to 12 points, get to the final, and then lose, and then put over whoever wins the blue block. Mayu is going to beat Starlight Kid, and then after that, challenge Tam later on in the show after she, beat a high-speed singles champion or whatever. So that is the red block. I would not have beaten Mayu, but like that's the reason why they're doing it, so they can have her go out on the win on the big show and then come and challenge later, whatever. So, the blue block. The blue block, the high person is 11 points. Shuri ends up on this, at the Korakuen Hall, ends up beating Roaka. She becomes a high man at 11. She has a tiebreaker over Kamatani. So she's 11. She has 11. She faces Takumi in final night. So, Kamatani, she faces, on the final night, I cannot remember who she faced for life in me. Unagi. That's who she faces. So she had 11. She's in the clubhouse already with 11. Until the final night, she can possibly get to 13 if she beat Unagi. I smell a draw or a shock loss. So, the people that's still alive in the blue block, at 10 points, underneath that you have Konami, and Konami has a tiebreaker over Utami, Shuri, and Takumi. So she faces Micah in the final night. I think that Micah slams the door shut on her. She does not make it to the final. So looking at the main or the sub-main event of the Korakuen Hall, you had Takumi versus Utami. Now I'm just going to go ahead and say it, like Utami, the night after ends up getting herself another W to add to it, so she's still alive with 10. Takumi has 10 as well. This match, man, like this was a basically to Utami versus Utami match, except one of the Utamis also has kicks. And it was just a battle of wills and power, and they went like back and forth, like shoulder tackling each other, started the match or whatever else. It was awesome. So ultimately they end up fighting and go to a 20-minute time limit, and a lot of those near falls at the end were actually convincing. And I think that's a tribute to the Utami and Micah match at the opening night, where Micah beat her like with seconds left on the buzzer. So
right.
So yeah, like the match. This is one of the best matches of the tournament. Like it's probably 5 or 4 or 5. It's probably 4.5 stars in 20 minutes. It was great, but ultimately that leaves them both at 4-2-2. They both so. Shuri on the final night faces Takumi. She's in a win and get in situation. All she has to do is win. If she ties, she leaves herself open to potentially getting caught by Konami, which I don't think is going to happen. But the other people that could possibly get past her will also be in ties with her. So like it's going to be some real clusterfuck if Shuri doesn't actually win. Or whatever else, or if Utami beats Tam and like Takumi and Shuri go to a draw, like it'll be a clusterfuck. So I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Shuri's going to beat Takumi, or if they do a draw, like there'll be multiple draws on the card, which I think they won't do because there's like there'll be 11 matches on the card or 10 matches on the card or whatever. So I don't think that's gonna happen. So I think Shuri gets in, makes it, controls her own destiny, beats Takumi. And it goes on to the final round. Like, I don't see the Kamatani thing. It doesn't really make much sense given who's on the other block. Like, she's going to win the Cinderella tournament and then win the Grand Prix while also, like, being basically 1-3 against, like, or 1-2-1 against, like, the 4 biggest competitors in the block. Like, that's really impressive, right? Like, she went to a draw with Takumi. She got beat by Utami. She got beat by Shuri. She caught Tam in a Hurricane Rana cradle. Like, I don't really think that's necessarily, like, a world beater there. So, so I think what happens is either Shuri wins the block and then goes on and faces either Momo or Himeka, wins, and then obviously challenges for the red belt. We get the match at Osaka-jo Hall.
Right.
I think that early in the show, like probably in the semi-main event or whatever else, you're going to get the Tam versus Utami match after it's already been laid clear that Utami is mathematically eliminated. And then you have them go to a 20-minute draw. And then after that, you have Mayu come out, challenges Tam for the white belt, and go from there. I don't know why they decided to do this with Mayu. I think things probably got fucked up with Julia. They probably, looking back at it now, it seems like they probably really were going to put Julia into the final. But that's where we are. Also, one thing of note, like, Azumi has ended the tournament on a hot streak. She beat Takumi in an awesome match. I ended up giving 4 stars flat on that, and that went like less than 9 minutes. Beat Konami. Obviously has the win over Shuri earlier in the tournament, and is looking to, close out like by winning 3 singles matches in a row. That can kind of be a setup thing to where if Shuri wins the red belt, that could be a first challenger for Shuri. There are going to be a lot of challenges, like, regardless of whatever happens with this, leaving out of Osaka or leaving out of this tournament. You're going to have a whole bunch of Shuri and Takumi and Utami face each other over this red belt, and it's going to be fucking fun. So
I love it.
So, I love it. You know, regardless of what I feel like they screwed up with this red block because of, you know, obviously the Julia thing screwed them up, but like they protected people, they protected matches and key matches that you know they're eventually going to do. So, it's going to be fun, and like I can't wait for Takumi versus Shuri. That's just going to be a blast. It really is.
Yeah. That's this Saturday, right?
Yes, that's this Saturday. Before we started the podcast, I had, about a half hour before, I had sent the yen over. I'd already sent the yen over. So, I already got that locked in. I didn't want to forget by tomorrow. I just went in and did that. And, yeah, man, it's gonna tough it out and then get up and watch the shit, and it's gonna be fun. And like, it will now be my second successful year where like I did not get spoiled on a Grand Prix final.